Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Mickey Dossman. And we're going to be discussing her incredible book, God's TikTok, Answered Prayer Journal. Man, I'm telling you, run on over to Amazon and purchase your copies, because this is one you need to add to your shelf. Once we begin discussing it, you're going to understand why I say that. Now, before I go any further, I want to point out the fact that Mickey was brought to us by Author Reputation Press. So for my writers out there who have gone through their process, if you need some assistance moving that book you just developed, head on over to authorreputationpress.com and gather all of the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Mickey here on the line. People, what if every second of waiting, what if it wasn't a delay, but actually divine precision? Okay, listen to me. Follow me here down this rabbit hole, okay? Because we are talking with the amazing author of God's TikTok, Answered Prayers. It's a journal that churns the ticking clock of your prayers into a testament of perfect timing. So whether you're in the season of not yet or right now, this conversation will help you trust the rhythm of God's plan. So lean in, because listen, his timing, it's always on schedule. And this is one that is going to have some profound impacts on you, your mentality, and your journey as you continue along. And by the time we've concluded, man, listen, you're going to listen to me. You're going to run on over to Amazon to purchase your copies. You might have to get it as a gift for someone else as well. Sit back, strap in, and here we go. Mickey, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Love it.
Just happy to be here.
Mickey, listen, we're happy to have you, okay? Your book, I think, is remarkably compelling. A wonderful title of the book. The image found on the cover is captivating. It's intriguing. But the messages found within, man, a lot of people are going to be able to gravitate towards this, and a lot of people are going to be able to build and grow because of it. So thank you for writing the book. Thank you even more for being here with us to discuss it. Let's jump right in. I'm curious to know, man, let's start with inspiration. What inspired the format of this short scripture with space to reflect?
I love short reading. Life can be busy, thick. I challenge my mind to memorize also. The short scriptures at the bottom of the page, they're short for a reason. You could take those scriptures and daily, throughout the day, try to memorize. I remember when I was a child growing up, we used to memorize the 23rd Psalms, the Lord's Prayer, all these long, the Ten Commandments, all these long scriptures. And now I don't think we do scriptures that stuck with me. The children nowadays, they don't memorize. But as you get older, you need to use your brain, and you need to memorize scriptures or whatever, songs, the best way you can to strengthen your brain. Carry these scriptures throughout the day at work, and it'll help your day go a little smoother.
Listen, I think you're on to something with the short scriptures, right? The short little sound bite almost, because it's going to play into our lives. We are used to that now. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit more. But first and foremost, let's now dive into, from your perspective, right? As this book's creator, how do you envision someone using this journal in their daily lives?
I thought of writing things down. Like I have a notebook where I would write down my prayer requests and the date I began to talk to God about it. I wrote down God's response and the date. I decided to a book idea. That's where this came from. When I pray, I think of a clock, immediately a clock. I know there's an app in the world, TikTok. I had to start before TikTok came out. But my thought of God and prayer and a clock has been with me for years. I don't know if you do it daily, if you write daily. I don't always write daily. That's why I didn't put it in a calendar. I just write. I might for a couple of days, but then I get to it and I start writing.
Mickey, in your point of view, what makes journaling such a powerful spiritual tool?
You can go back to it. If you don't write down what's in your brain, what's between your two ears, you tend to forget it. Mm-hmm. And you go back to it and you say, wow, honestly, I haven't always done this, but there are situations that God is bringing into my memory, and I am listing them, and I will expound on them at another time. But writing it down, just about everything. And you go back and you say, you're awesome. God, you're awesome.
People, I'll tell you, this is a book you need to add to your shelf. Trust and believe we've barely scratched the surface. You're starting to see the image crystallize in your mind in terms of what this book represents. I'm going to say it again, man. Head on over to Amazon. The book is called God's TikTok, Answered Prayer Journal by Mickey Dossman. And this is one you need to add to your shelf because I promise you the wisdom there is second to none. And I want to go to something else next because, Mickey, you mentioned earlier the theory behind these short, bite-sized prayers and scripture that you were able to find and really why you thought it was so important. And listen, I'm right there with you. We understand, right, given the worlds that we currently live in. And listen, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole too much, but let's call it a spade. Thank you, social media, because we are now so impatient. We look at things and we're used to receiving things instantaneously, right? We don't wait for things anymore. We've become very impatient. So I want to ask you now, for those out there listening in, how do you help someone trust God's clock when their own internal timer is just screaming, hurry up? What do we do to maintain that patience, and what do you say to them?
I want to say you're not alone. In this season that you're in, it's not wasted. Sometimes the waiting is where God grows us the most. Mm-hmm. He's lining things up behind the scenes. We can't see it. I've been there, and I'm seeing how God's timing is always better than my time. You have to keep showing up, keep trusting him, and your suddenly moment, it's going to come.
Mickey, listen, a perfect segue that you just established, because you mentioned a moment ago how God's timing worked for you in your own life. And that's where I want to go next. All right, let's churn this internally and let's pay it forward to our listening audience by showcasing your own personal experience here. How has God's timing shown up in your life?
In so many ways. I've had to wait through hard seasons, raising children, changing homes. I am married to a minister, and we've moved from place to place, praying for answers. But as I look back, I have to look back because at the moment, I didn't see it. I said, well, why are you doing this? But his timing was just perfect. Even in my birth, the first page in the book is talking about God's divine providence. And in my birth, if I would have been born when I should have been born, my mother, she couldn't get pregnant for years. She didn't understand. But if I would have been born, I would have been too old to be my husband's wife. And so he jokes about it. He says, the Lord knew. So he closed your womb up for a little while until the perfect time. But I didn't think of that, and she didn't think of that. But these are things that we look back on, and that's why we need to write these things down and keep it afresh in our mind while we're waiting. While you're waiting, you should get closer to the Lord. Don't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs. Get closer to the Lord. Read some Bible text and pray more as you're waiting, because believe me, God is working behind the scenes.
Mickey, that is it's a beautiful perception to take. Listen, I'm buying what you're selling, okay? You got me hook, line, and sinker. I'm picking up what you're putting down there. But I think it's interesting how when we shift perception to a certain degree, and again, let's just use the example of you and your husband and how that perfectly aligned.
Right.
Your birth, like all those years ago, there was no way to know how far the ripples of that decision, right? And having you be born at that time, but using the imagery of water for a second, and again, that drop creating a ripple effect, how far it went downstream to perfectly align with the marriage between you and your husband. And I think that is a beautiful perception to take in this particular instance, but a wonderful message to be received here. That's fantastic. Listen, as we close out, continuing to build off of your particular experience, I'm curious to know, did you use the journal yourself, or do you use, not did you, because that would imply that you're no longer using it, and I'm sure it's a continuation. So do you use the journal yourself? And if so, what has that experience been like for you?
Yes, I use it. I've always written in a journal, not this particular book. That's why I wanted to write this down for others so that other people can write their story. I don't write every day. And sometimes I have questions that I write in here for the Lord. I just jot down. I hear sermons, and the preacher might say something powerful that I want to remember. I put that in there. I just write a lot of spiritual things that I come across during the day. You don't have to be a writer. This journal isn't about perfect grammar or long entries. It's about being honest. One word or sentence like, I'm tired, Lord, or help me, Jesus, today. Those are things that we can look back on, and it can be powerful to someone else also. God's not grading our writing. He's listening to our heart.
Yeah. People, listen, man, you got it, okay? Time is up, but your prayers are just getting started. I'm going to say it again. It's Amazon. Head on over and pick up your copies today, man, because remember, let every tick of the clock remind you God's timing is never off. And even in those seasons of waiting where you may feel discouraged, you may have your faith wavering a bit, allow conversations like this, allow this book, God's TikTok Answered Prayer Journal, to help reinforce that faith, to help weather those storms. Because I promise you, He's there. He's listening. He is answering your prayers. Sometimes you just got to be a little patient. And I remember when we were talking about it earlier, like that is something that seems like it's difficult to do nowadays. Having that patience, because we're so accustomed to receiving things exactly when we want them. Listen, we're not rushing the big man upstairs.
He answers in His way.
Yeah.
He answers in His way.
Absolutely, right? Listen, He is always right on time. Keep trusting His clock, man. Pick up this book. Like I mentioned before, get it as a gift for others, because this is truly something that's going to help you move some mountains. Mickey, this has been an absolute honor. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you. Thank you so much.